Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Jennifer Cain Birkmose with us today. Jen has a very cool background. In brief, she's a co-founder, board member, a global health advocate dedicated to patient access. Currently, founder at VivaValet, senior direct research development at Shane Research in Basel, Switzerland. I thought it was Basel before that call is Basel. Been there. It's a very nice place. That's where she is right now. She's a visiting lecturer at INSEAD, top university. She's also been at Singularity University, probably my favorite edtech education. Worked at Roche, at Novartis, at Johnson Johnson, World Health Organization as well. So huge experience in pharma. And yeah, today we're gonna talk about patient access, in which she's a global health advocate for. This podcast is brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start your own podcast and scale it and get clients, get connection, get insights from a podcast, you can go to podpire.com. Jen, welcome to the podcast. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Charles, I'm so excited to be here with you today. So thank you for the invitation. What I'm up to these days is it's really all about VivaValet. And as you mentioned, this is a founder podcast. And so as a co-founder of this amazing, beautiful company, we are doing a lot of exciting things in terms of product development, market expansion, and really delighting our customers, which is what we're all about when we're starting a company and we're scratching the itch that we have. Again, it's the company's VivaValet. We're all about creating products and services that enable older individuals to live at home independently. And again, like I said, scratching my own itch, I have this challenge where I'm thousands of miles away from my father, my aging relatives, as is my founder. And we knew that the need to support those people is growing and growing and growing. And especially since we're broadcasting live on LinkedIn, anyone who's logging in is very likely in a similar phase in their life, in that they have someone that they know, they love, they care for, who is likely at a distance from them, who is needing support. So very much, I'm talking to our audience right now on LinkedIn for sure. Those of us who are very much mid-career, even C-level, we're very often in this moment where we say, great, we've got this amazing professional opportunity we've dreamed of. We've kind of finally risen to the level, the role, or the impact of our dreams, and we're struck with the requirement of caring for someone who's aging at home. So part of that is supporting us, who are those people who are caregivers, even remotely, and clearly supporting those who are living at home as well.
I love that. So from what I'm seeing here, it's cleaning, it's rides, it's home repair, it's meals and tech service. That is the core offering, right?
That's correct. So it's, again, they're non-medical services, and it's enabling this independent living. So the last thing you mentioned was the tech. And I think for many people, that is one of the most surprising services that we offer in our company, because you'd say, oh, why are you teaching older people tech? And first of all, we've co-designed all of our proprietary software, our apps, with olders. So they were from the very ground floor. They were part of the UI UX in looking at the interface and even the actual product offering and the service offerings. And we teach tech to them because when you look at the world around us, olders are living in a digitizing environment, which is effectively digitized already for many of the core services that they need to even live and operate in this world. So look at banking, right? Look at driver registration, look at any other service, and most importantly for them, healthcare. We are digitizing our health records, and if olders are not brought along the way, they're not able to actually participate in their own medical records. So that's one of the core reasons that we're actually teaching, both in the home and the community, tech skills for olders. And it's been one of our most delightful products that we offer.
I love that. Yeah, I wouldn't mind be hooked to a chat GPT once my days come and just like constantly chatting and exploring my curiosities an elder. Yeah, my parents are about to reach that stage. I think I'm gonna retire them in my house with me though. What's that? Why can't most people do that? It's like lack of finance and time and space. To me, it's like it's basically giving back, right? Because they took care of me for like 20 years.
Well, so first of all, bless you for having that intention and having that plan to be able to have your parents move in with you. What we see is that the trend, at least in North America, where our business is active, is that the trend is that the children are moving away in order to seek economic opportunity, and some of them are moving abroad, like I have, for example. And so that even though the intent might be there, very often the reality of just where you are seeking employment is not going to enable that to happen. And so, although we know, like from the work of the Blue Zones, to understand how health span and lifespan is extending, that having intergenerational interactions and having elders who have purpose and have independence is really what's driving that extension of health span and lifespan. It's not always a possibility that we can actually have those intergenerational households coming together. And you also asked, is it financial? Possibly, because there's a financial hurdle associated with working where you're working. If you're on another coast from your family, you're not necessarily going to pick up and move back just for that. Although some people are putting their careers on hold, and very often that's women. And so often when we look at this tool that we have as a company and also as a developing concierge service, which is going to be nationwide, it enables the maintenance of the female workforce participation, because especially women executives who are being hit with this consequence of having to care for dogs that I hear in the background, and also their aging parents, they're often being pulled out of those executive roles in order to deliver care. So we really love that it's this win-win-win in terms of, again, supporting elders to live at home independently, and it's a hugely growing market. It's supporting the younger generation who is delivering that care, and of course the businesses that are part of our package, they are also supported because we're supporting local family businesses that are in the community, that are known and trusted. And what we know from the ethnographic research that actually paved the way for everything we're doing to understand hopes, dreams, and fears of elders and of youngers as well, is really, it's all about trust. So that's really part of our core offering with our proprietary software, proprietary platform, our concierge service, our service delivery. It's all about making sure that we can ensure trust because of the vetting processes we have in place, as well as ensuring trust when the services are delivered, because we have eyes on our people and we can report back immediately to the adult children that your older's okay.
Right. Yeah, I love the service itself. And my grandmother, well, one of my grandmothers, she died of Alzheimer's, and that was for 10-year decline, cognitive decline, and that was so painful. And thinking about it, that I wouldn't have the tools, right, to deal with that. Obviously, I'd have nannies and people to take care of them, like at my place, but yeah, that would be intense. Are you equipped to deal with these elders that are suffering from advanced and debilitating diseases like that?
So through our partnership network, so we have effectively two channels. We have the B2C, where we go directly to the customer, either the adult child or the older. We also partner with other institutions, which are like what you described with your own grandmother, who are delivering services in the home, for example. That might be healthcare services in the home. We have several partners already in our network where we collaborate with them, and if they're delivering those services, they might need a little extra help on the non-medical services, and therefore we do serve that population in partnership with visiting home nurses, et cetera.
Right. Give me a bit more details about Viva, for example. How many valets do you have right now? How many clients? And what's the cost involved if I want to use your services?
Yeah. Okay. So wonderful. So we are experiencing the hockey stick of hockey sticks, which makes this very exciting. We've 3x
Nice.
our customer base within the last 6 weeks, even, and that has very much to do with
Congrats.
our outreach, our doubling down on our B2C and our B2B approaches, which is really exciting, and also finding new commercial partners that are helping us with effectively new market access pathways into the B2B channels. So that's really exciting. In terms of the costs associated with it as a consumer, so if you're living, if you're operating in the Illinois channel currently, we no longer have a membership fee that's associated with the service delivery business. So that means you're going on and you're actually going to pay for the services that you would have that you normally find in a marketplace. So where we are in terms of the market range, in terms of pricing, we're very much mid-level. In terms of that. So for example, if you have like a 4-hour cleaning, that's going to be, if you add on extras, it'll vary based on how many rooms you have, for example, how much time you need. Are there extra things that you have? Also with cleaning with food delivery. Well, the food delivery isn't like an Uber, for example, where you deliver individual meals. It's the delivery of a full week's worth of meals. And so we go the extra mile, we put the food in the refrigerator, we take away the garbage, which who doesn't love that extra mile kind of service where we take away all that extra refuse so it's not on the plate or a problem for the older to manage themselves. So those are, generally between 150 to 200 a week for those type of meal delivery services.
Love that. And yeah, the customers, you said the hockey sticks, you started 4 years ago. Is it around like 200, 300 routine customers? And can they use you temporarily, or is it like an MRR that is solid and the churn is really low?
Yeah. So first of all, I love this question. We started kicking around the idea in almost 4 years ago. Exactly. We've been in market for now it's 20 months. We are revenue taking, which is also thrilled that we are at this phase of growth, really. And in terms of are our customers able to jump in and phase out? 100%. We're not locked in. We don't lock you into a service or a commitment for repeat services only on the request of the actual customer. What we found is because this population is so very determined to be independent, they tend to be extremely sticky in the business. So we have about a 95% retention rate of our customers once they arrive into our business. And the other thing that is a surprise and a delight for us as business owners is that they come onto our platform and immediately they see, once they have one service with us, they immediately lock in to do maybe a year's worth of services. So it could be monthly, periodical food, cleaning, the home modifications, the IT. Those are all services that are repeat services that are booked out in advance, up to 24 months in advance already. So it's very sticky. Again, high growth area. And part of that, Charles, is that when you look at the age of these people, so this is 70 and above, it's designed for 70 and above. But we have people who are in their 50s and late 40s who are even using it as well because of the quality assurance and the trust assurance. I think ultimately it's the human experience that we want services that are high quality, that have consolidated a very fractured and diversified market. But when we think about moving ahead for our business and any of our listeners who are thinking about, like, do you have an idea that you'd like to launch in like the personal care space, the healthcare space, the home support space for the elderly? By 2050, we have in the US alone, we have 85 million people who are going to be 70 and above. So this is a market that is fast growing, and they are going to continue to have a lifespan for a minimum of 20 years once they hit 65. So we're living longer. There are more of these people that are going to be of this age, and we're going to need more services and products that are designed specifically for their user experience, which might look different than if you're designing for a 20-something or a 30-something. So even for us alone, like when we were designing our proprietary software, when you hold a phone in your hand, we know that, you and I might use our thumbs to text. An older doesn't hold their phone like that. Just watch next time that you're with someone who's 70 or above, you'll notice that they hold their phone differently. And that has to do with finger dexterity, has to do with vision, has to do even with color acuity. And so we had to design something very differently as a result of their own user need. And that defines their user experience so they have a high quality user experience and can navigate through tech very easily.
Love that. And you mentioned your valets. How do you actually screen them to make sure that they're good? And how do you constantly evaluate their performances? Is it with tech and with math and analytics? Tell me a bit more about that to make sure that they offer great service.
So it's easy to remember because in the US, in North America, we have, if you have like a party and you're going to have chips and dips, we have a rather famous dip that we make called the 7-layer dip, right? It's got 7 layers of all the good stuff that you want to put on a chip. So we have the 7 layers of vetting that we go through for each individual target. So again, that's proprietary, but elements of it are, we do background checks, we do criminal background checks, we make sure that these people are insured and bonded. We have a proprietary learning system around confidence aging that enables our business partners, our providers, our service providers to understand aging differently and provide a higher level of service than you would of an average, let's say, food delivery or cleaner business. They actually are operating a higher level because we've upskilled them. They have to do practical exam, they have to do a physical exam, and like I said, we're monitoring them upon each service, and they're constantly getting, as soon as we close a service, we get immediate feedback on them, and they are also giving us feedback on our older. So for example, is there something of concern from the older in their behavior or their environment that also acts as a signal for the family? Oh gosh, mom has a problem today, you need to call your mom. So all those things, when all those things are working, then that's part of the recertification of their ability to stay active on our platform, which effectively suggests and indicates that they are still passing our trust standards that we require for each of our service providers to have to be in the home of an older.
And how do you evaluate like EQ into them? Like, is there like a patience test? And what does it look like to take care of an elder? I don't even remember how that feels like.
So the EQ, the emotional intelligence you're asking about.
Yes.
Okay, I love that you're asking me this. So part of that is a part of the training, which is, I'll give you an example. So the kind of old adage is you see an older woman crossing the street and, the cultural norm might be, oh, help her across the street. Actually, in confidence aging, which we're promoting, our motive is actually don't help her, but rather celebrate her, to be like, walk by her and say, Mrs. Jones, you are rocking that today. You're doing great. How are you doing? You look fantastic. So celebrate the progress that they're making and acknowledge that they are achieving what they are. Because very often around the EQ piece, we see that people will diminish an older's kind of independence or infantilize them in that they sort of like, oh, aren't you sweet? And actually, they're not sweet. They're actually rather salty people often because they are there like living their fully independent life. So part of that is that we teach them to see them where they are, celebrate them for the life years lived that they've had, and celebrate that whole process. So that's part of it. Also, we didn't talk about this in my introduction, but I'm also a professional improv comedian. So I trained at Second City in North America, which is one of these comedy schools where like some of the great comedy greats in the US come from in Canada. And I run a comedy school here in Basel. And actually all of my service providers, as well as my customer service agents, get to have some training in that because it helps with, like you say, emotional intelligence, service delivery, being present, celebrating the success of these olders as well. So that's also part of what's built into our training. It's kind of an unexpected quality that you wouldn't necessarily expect, but it is truly something that helps with this energy and emotional intelligence that we deliver in service with understanding and confidence aging.
I love improv. I even have an improv GPT on my phone, and yeah, I love improvising. It helps with creativity. It helps adapting oneself, and yeah, it's funny as well. It's really funny. It's great to relax oneself. I think improv is one of the best skills to teach to founders. Talking about founders, how did you meet Mariam? She also seems like high energy and see like a good fit with yours.
Yeah, I mean, Miriam, first and foremost, is a friend of mine. And we've known each other for around 6 years. And it was during the COVID period where we were just knocking around ideas and talking about kind of the problems that we each have, which are that problem the itch we're trying to scratch around solving a problem of elders that are at a distance. So it really came after like a long meandering conversation about how we solving this for aging parents and aging relatives, et cetera. And she said, I've got this idea, let's do this together, and boom. So I think from the moment we had our first conversation until now, it's literally like fire. The two of us are super, super cohesive, and we've got this great collaboration. She's also a long-term caregiver herself. So I've had a long career, as you mentioned, in healthcare, also as a caregiver, both as a child, really as a teenager, and also now doing it remotely. And now she's living that also because she's doing daily caregiving in her own life. So I find it unusual that and special that here we are, two female founders who are both caregivers, have been past, present, future caregivers. And we have these insights from being Miriam herself, being a serial entrepreneur, and also being, a board member of a publicly traded company, myself being a board member and executive in pharma and healthcare, and having been a former diplomat in healthcare in WHO and the UN system as well. We come with really kind of personally tailored experiences that really make us super compatible in the work that we're doing as we drive forward this future of aging and really creating a world that we wish to age into ourselves, because ultimately we know we're going to be in those populations in the next 20, 25 years. And we hope to benefit from this sort of changed, altered world and the kind of movement as business that we've launched.
And what pushed you to launch a venture? Is it the improv side of yours? Because you had the corporate background and it's so hard to get out of the comfy 200, 300K salary a year and jump into the unknown. So what pushed you to do that?
Yeah. So again, great question. And I would say for me as an individual, I've always been driven by purpose and purpose to support very much the healthcare journey of patients, of healthcare systems, improving them, making an impact. So my career has been kind of a curation of that, of how do I use the tools of a vocation to really make that impact. And what I saw was this is actually properly public health that we're performing, even though it's even activities outside of the health system. It's something that supports the health span and the independence span of elders. So I found this was a natural continuation of where I had been as an executive in pharma and healthcare, and harvesting that skill to blend the future of kind of public health, community-based support, and tech all together. It's truly the direction of where we're moving in our society, and also caring for aging populations.
But it's not easy, right? What are the challenges of running that business of yours, the logistics and all that?
Yeah. So logistics, it is a last mile business. So when you look at other, again, it's digital health tech, service delivery. We've got multiple verticals. So if, we're not one singular vertical. We're not a cleaning company. We're not a home modification company. We're not a home certification company, but we're a suite, effectively a concierge service of multiple businesses. So first of all, that's a challenge, is that you need to learn the verticals, and you need to learn what's the best part and most critical parts of each vertical. And when it comes to service delivery, it's really managing that last mile. And as we are a trust broker and a deliverer of trusted services, really it's ensuring that in that last mile, everything we've done up to that point to be trustworthy, to be trusted, to be worthy of being in the home of an older. How do we ensure that last mile coverage and that final delivery goes across the finish line to maintain trust, quality, safety? So I don't know if it's probably the biggest puzzle of how to continually update that. And I also think with us in this, it becomes very flexible with the business model and how we deliver it. So we've gone through multiple iterations of how we bring our business model to market for the service delivery, and now with the new products that we're bringing to market as well. We have the National Concierge Service, and also we're bringing forward an app, which is a symptom tracker that enables elders to track the non-biomarker type of things that you find in Apple Watch or Oura Ring. But we have things where they self-report, and then they can have a more high quality interaction with their physician when they actually go to the doctor. So each of those is their own business vertical, to understand, to learn how to price, to learn how to have market entry. They have different types of partners. Some of them are B2C, some of them are B2B. And I think for us also as founders, because we're both located outside the United States, running a business in the US. And so we as founders, visionaries, driving strategy, definitely driving the external piece in media, and also with the raises that we're making and that we're currently in as well right now with, the PE, VC, family office world. We realized that we had to take the step sideways to maintain all that we're talking about as founders and have the courage to ask for help and bring in management teams that could be on the ground. And I think that's often, this is the founder wisdom type of podcast. It's really knowing as founder that you're given birth to your beautiful baby, you're raising your beautiful baby that you love so much. And there comes a point where you say, this beautiful baby needs a new nanny, or needs to go to school, or needs to go to kindergarten, needs to go into primary school. And we made that very brave decision to bring in new COOs, as well as different capabilities that we actually lacked. And I'm sure in the path that you have, Charles, you talk to a lot of founders who have that same process of, it's like the maturity of a startup when you go from starting to scaling, where you realize, even as founders, there comes a point where you reach the end of your capability. And also for us, it was the end of our ability to work on a 24-hour time cycle, because working from Asia and Europe in the US constantly, there's a possible burnout. So how do we get people on the ground who can actually manage the time as well?
Yeah, I mean, from day one, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. My first business has been like fully outsourced and ran across the globe, right, with international clients and international teams. My first company was a nootropic, and the last nootropic we were going to develop was for Alzheimer, because of the experience I had with my grandmother. Another challenge or possible challenge I was going to ask you is getting clients, because you're marketing to their parents, right? Does that make it harder, or does that make it easier to actually sell to the parents, the caretaker of the elder?
So yes and no. I think it's always shades of gray in this. And a surprise that we have is the number and the volume of olders themselves who are actually doing the direct signups and direct buying themselves. That was a surprise. We thought that the mode from a B2C channel would be more likely through the youngers themselves, the adult children. And I think the nature of that is that, where do you target them and how do you find them? So, for example, our business as a kind of showcase and launch market is in Illinois and Chicago specifically. So if those olders are located in that spot, and we're trying to solve a problem where the adult children are, maybe they're in New York, or maybe they're in Paris, or maybe they're, in LA, they're far away. How do you find them? It's actually more difficult to find the adult children, even though we know when we present the model to the adult children, they're saying, this is exactly what I need for my parents. This is exactly what I need. So I think, again, the surprise upside is that we can market directly to olders. They will sign up for a digital product that delivers physical services. They will sign up, and that was a surprise and delay. And then I think the downside is it's harder from a B2C perspective to find that child who's far away. Now, the other surprise, I think, is the hunger in the B2B chain, where there are so many other actors where we are partnering with. As I mentioned, we have several home health agencies as well as senior care facilities where we are partnering. And that enables us, part of that hockey stick is to have a bulk market access channel through the B2B markets. You're muted, my dear. Somehow you got muted along the way. There we go.
Thanks. Last but not least, you've been member of Singularity University. Do you think we're gonna crack longevity? Do you think we're gonna live forever and discover a remedy, quote unquote, to that in the next 10 to 15 years?
Well, Ray Kurzweil always said that, hold on. I think Peter Diamandis as well said, hold on, because we're going to reach escape velocity, right, within the next 10 years. So I think that was said like around 2018, 2017. So as we move toward, let's say 2030, will we approach the quantum? Will we be able to hook our brains up to the net? Will we be able to have fully functioning digital biology that does diagnostics and healing in nanobots in our bodies? Wouldn't it be great? So I hope so. I hope that we're going to be able to reach that escape velocity where we have extensive health span that brings us up to 130 years. We'll see. So when we see evidence of again, Singularity University very well. So it's this idea of, the democratization, ultimately the democratization of all of these tools that we now see through AI that is democratized, that enables us to create beyond maybe even what we had as capabilities before. We're getting closer to be able to get to those innovations that will deliver solutions to extend lifespan and human health. I think in the meantime, as Peter Diamandis would say, is just make sure you keep wearing your seatbelt in your car and wear your ski helmet when you're skiing, so that you don't die from a stupid reason, because like the answers for extended longevity are right around the corner. So don't die in a dumb way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jen, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
So thank you again. It's been a great talk. So again, we're broadcasting on LinkedIn. So you've got me here already on LinkedIn. So please connect to me personally, connect to my company on LinkedIn, VivaValet, live and play services for seniors. You can see that already. You can find our website, www.vivavalet.com. You can follow us on all social media as well, both Instagram and Facebook. So we're super excited to serve you. And again, thank you, Charles. It's been an absolute delight being on this platform with you.
My pleasure. That was Jennifer Cain.